whole, and that the prevailing sentiment is that anything can be art, and all art is beautiful, even if it's a bunch of stray pubes glued onto a canvas. And AI art falls into this category because artists have seemingly removed all of their standards 100 years ago. He then goes on to do this little thought experiment on his art friends, wherein he asks them, between this Jackson Pollock painting and this AI generated illustration, which of the two paintings has more artistic value? All of the artists chose the Jackson Pollock painting. The gotcha being that the Jackson Pollock painting is also AI generated. So I don't disagree with everything this guy says, but he's also definitely wrong about a lot. So first of all, I think lumping modern artists in with every other type of artists and then pinning them to a wall with this question is a little disingenuous, because I can also play that game. I can also ask my art friends. I can ask any of the hundreds of people I've met in the throes of AAA game production or film and animation who, in fact, do not bust nuts onto canvases and insist other people buy those canvases and hang them up over their fireplaces. I don't know what sample size this guy was working with, but I have hundreds of art friends and they all hate Jackson Pollock. Here are some of the things that they said in response to watching this video.
Regarding the experiment mentioned, very poorly done. It was a plainly leading circumstance. He knew exactly what result he wanted to get, so the experiment was set up to give exactly that result and nothing else.
TLDR, people who think modern art is good is like asking the guy who drinks piss what constitutes a good beverage and then saying, see, there's no objectivity in what makes a good beverage.
Yeah, the experiment doesn't really say much when you mislead the subjects. Almost like how online Reddit debaters try to catch you on a gotcha question.
Yeah, this sentiment of art is already bad, so who cares is incredibly piss-spray and disingenuous and shows a fundamental misunderstanding of what value people attach to art as a concept.
Also, Jackson Pollock, or whatever his name is, was a government secret that's barely relevant.
The TLDR is, the US wanted to show that if someone as bad as Pollock can succeed, that means anyone has a chance. The Soviets had insanely high art standards and forced them to be so specific that there was no freedom. So Jackson Pollock was funding freedom propaganda, basically. That's a shortened version of it that might be missing some stuff though. Modern art is just bored apes and NFTs for rich boomers trying to launder money.
I met Jackson Pollock once. He kept touching me inappropriately, and when I asked him to stop, he kept yelling, it's modern art, you just don't get it.
Any artist worth their salt thinks Jackson Pollock is a knuckle-dragging, googly-eyed cocksucker, and anyone who thinks that his art is valuable is even worse. When I was watching this video, before he even pointed out that both of these paintings were AI generated, all I could think was, man, I hate Jackson Pollock. That looks like shit. I like the AI one better. There are standards to art. I don't know where he's getting that from. As a 3D artist, I've only ever been hired because I was good at sculpting. Knowing people helps a little bit, but it can only carry you so far. If you don't know basic anatomy as a 3D sculptor, I don't care whose dick you're sucking, you're not getting hired. So in this example, the AI-generated fantasy landscape is in fact better than the Jackson Pollock painting and the AI-generated Jackson Pollock painting. Why? Because the fantasy landscape one is trained off of artists that are good. So again, we are working with stolen valor here. Art does have standards. Art has rules. There are fundamentals that you have to learn in order to make good art. Color theory, light, value, composition, perspective, anatomy, all of those are required. And yes, there is good art and there is bad art. Art doesn't inherently have merit just because a human made it. You still think the endeavor is cool because you tried, but that doesn't make it automatically good. Do you think Leonardo da Vinci is the draftsman that he is by default? No, he's got probably thousands of bad drawings that nobody's ever going to see because he threw them all away, because that's the iterative process of learning how to draw, and there's nothing wrong with that. What I do agree with in Gary's video is that there is definitely a vocal minority of artists that are very annoying and still demanding of your respect, and it's difficult not to cheer for the downfall of that person, so I get it. person that's been telling you that every piece of media needs to have its characters retroactively race swapped in order to meet some sort of arbitrary diversity quota. The people telling you that you're a bigot or an incel because you want to pay $70 for their video game that plays like a Title IX ass anti-workplace discrimination training module for an office job. Person telling you that they're better than you and more emotionally intelligent because they are artists and you work in construction, and if you don't want to keep using your hard-earned money to fund their lifestyle, you're a bad person. This is where I think a lot of the misplaced hatred for artists come from. In reality, most artists are normal. They're not permanently glued to a soapbox, constantly spouting annoying socio-political opinions on Twitter. Most of us are just trying to make it, or get a paycheck, or express something deeper through paint. When working in productions, we're not the ones in charge of the messaging. We're kind of just held hostage. I was working at this indie studio a few years back, and I was tasked with modeling this non-binary character, and there was a lot of discussion about how this character would look with regards to overall proportion and color palette. And anytime somebody accidentally misgendered the fictional non-binary character on Slack, they got in trouble with HR. Do you think I wanted to be in that situation? No, I just wanted to sculpt and get paid. Pandering and the slop isn't going to go away if you drop all of the artists from the project. Arguably, there will be even more pandering and slop than ever before. There's pandering and slop being made by humans right now without AI. When was the last time Disney made something that inspired you? I know the art industry has been kind of broken for a long time, but I don't think the answer to that is fighting human slop with AI slop. When you start to replace the artists with AI, it's going to make it so that the slop comes out faster, and there's going to be so much slop, it's going to obfuscate the things that are not slop. It's already doing that. In the top 3 videos on YouTube as of writing this, third place is an AI slot video called Lovely Baby Met a Plane Crash or Pug. To say that the soul of art doesn't matter and that all that does is its consumability is just going to get you more of Lovely Baby Met a Plane Crash or Pug, which brings me to the next thing that people get wrong about artists. Soul in art doesn't matter, and all it does is consumability. In the short term, yes, that's true. In terms of profitability, economics, people voting with their wallets, that's correct. People are going to buy whatever fires up the old dopamine receptors and avoid things made by people that piss them off. I'm not going to sit here and argue with you about whether or not a robot can replace a human artist based on this immeasurable and ethereal value of soul. What I am going to say, however, is that you should care. Personally, I think art is about the endeavor, and I think what makes art so remarkable is the fact that it does take so much time. And I know non-artists don't care about that, and a long and arduous journey is antithetical to consumerism, but it's not just about that. This isn't just about art anymore. This is about something more threatening. AI is going to come for all of us. Art is just the first industry to fall, and you shouldn't be cheering this shit on. You're going to be putting the fries in a bag soon, too. Actually, no, you're not. AI is already taking that one. Mostly what will be left will be in high-skill niches or in manual labor or agriculture. Are you smart enough to oversee or repair the automated technology that replaced you? Probably not. AI might create some new jobs for people that excelled in academics, but what about the people that didn't bother with degrees? For people who didn't go to college, and I don't blame you, my degree is currently better suited to be used as toilet paper. It's going to be difficult to train for anything else once AI takes your job, because there's also not going to be anything else. Coming generations, a degree is also not going to be worth shit, because kids currently enrolled in academic institutions are already using ChatGPT to cheat their way through school. When millions are left jobless, governments are going to have to start having some serious conversations about UBI. But if there's anything I know about government, it's that legislation is slow and impeded by bureaucracy and greed. especially when it involves money being used on citizens rather than the military. How many years of chaos are we going to have on our hands while we wait for the government to budge? Now let's say you finally get that UBI check. What will you become when all of your basic needs are met? Will you be okay not having anything to strive for? Will UBI improve your financial situation or cause you to become a perpetual slave to the state? The idea behind UBI is that it's meant to be padding so that things don't go completely south if you're not working, but it's meant to be just that. It's supplemental income, but you're meant to keep working. The studies done on distributing UBI have found that rather than using it as padding, people decided to just work less and not invest it in anything long term, and it made them poorer overall. That's totally understandable. Working is mad gay, but if you're given UBI and you don't also work to supplement that income, you're gonna be stuck forever in the bare minimum hole. And you're gonna be okay with that. For some people, yeah, sure, but for others, the way that automation is going, what if you couldn't work if you wanted to because there's nothing left to do? What jobs are going to be out there left for you? Is the UBI amount that you get going to be enough? Or is it going to increase the income inequality gap so much that it's no longer going to be possible? And if the UBI is enough, what about you as a person? When all of your needs are allegedly met, now what? A lot of people stake their identities on their job. If you don't have a job, are you comfortable with who you are with nothing to do for enrichment or fulfillment? Have you ever heard of Universe 25? Universe 25 was an experiment conducted by John Calhoun in the 1960s that sought to study the effects of overpopulation on mice. The results were grim to say the least. Every single mouse in that experiment died. Overpopulation wasn't even an issue. These mice were placed in a utopia in which they need not want for anything. Unlimited food, water, and nesting materials were provided, and no predators were introduced into the utopia. With all these amenities freely provided, the mice engaged in cannibalism and stopped reproducing. I know you're not a rodent, but as a human without work to find meaning in, will there be enough enrichment in your enclosure? I think I'll be okay. Art has always been something that extends beyond money for me, so maybe you'll take away my ability to get paid for my stuff, but I'll always be making things, and so will a lot of other people. I know who I am now as somebody who is currently not making money off of their art, and I'll always strive to become a better artist and know who I am, regardless of what generative AI is doing. But I don't really know how it works for people who aren't artists. If you're really passionate about your job and AI makes it so that your job is no longer necessary, are you okay with not being that person anymore? Will you be able to make your own enrichment? I'm genuinely asking because I see a future in which a lot of people just give in to extreme hedonism, like drugs and alcoholism, any other kind of substance abuse, gooning, just to pass the time. The debate about generative AI isn't just about whether or not human art inherently has meaning, it's bigger than that. Art is just the canary in the coal mine. The dissolution of art as an industry is like an allegory for how all of our lives are going to play out for the next 50 years. There will come a time in which visually AI art and human-made art will become visually indistinguishable, but the second that it's known that a piece of art was generated by an AI, its value is lost. It never had any to begin with. It was always a mockery of a true human endeavor. Sure, you can make the argument that it doesn't matter if you can't tell the difference, but doesn't it bother you that everything anybody has ever experienced is apparently so worthless that it's okay if we're all replaced by something that isn't real? A robot cannot yearn. A robot cannot love. A robot cannot hate. A robot cannot go hungry. A robot cannot have its heart broken. A robot cannot mourn the death of someone so much that it's removed from functioning as it did for months at a time, or ever again. A robot can only steal what has already been made and mash it into a sterilized amalgamated pulp and serve it back to you. And if you'd rather have the heavily manufactured contents of a chicken McNugget over a home-cooked meal just because it's cheaper and faster to produce, then there might be something wrong with you. It's going to undo thousands of years of our progression through history for a short-term monetary gain. Cheaper to produce doesn't mean companies will sell it to you for less. Companies aren't here to make your life easier, they're here to profit off of you. And when you too lose your job because a robot does it faster, how will that make you feel about yourself? If your efforts in life mean nothing because automation blows your skills out of the water, what is your identity? Will you exist only to consume things made by a machine? If we don't regulate it, if we don't slam the brakes on this just a little bit, what's going to be left for people? Despite everything, it's still you, but is that going to be enough? When the AI comes for you, and it will come for you, who will you be?
Scrolling for hours to find product inspiration? Why not do it in seconds with AI?
This is a tool called Oxio. It's the world's first AI sourcing engine and end-to-end e-commerce platform.
Type in your business idea and search. Voila!
It provides not only text assistance, but also the associated suppliers and sources of those goods.
Try Axio today.
Every movie, talent show, and viral success story tells us the same thing, that fame and fortune is the ultimate goal for creative people. But we almost never ask the question that matters most. Is it really worth it? In many cases, creative success breaks you. It rewires your mind, consumes your identity, and if you're not careful, turns your deepest vulnerabilities into public spectacle. Your emotions become someone else's entertainment. Your thoughts and ideas turn into products to be bought and sold as content. Working as a high-level creative person is pressure. You put a piece of yourself out there for people to judge, misinterpret, or just ignore entirely. This doesn't just happen to famous creative people. It can happen to anyone who takes their creative work seriously. Back in design school, I pulled all-nighters building prototypes, sanding until my hands cramped. And at first, that passion feels like freedom, but it can slowly turn into obsession and even self-exploitation. And that's the danger. Creative success doesn't always free you. Sometimes it traps you in ways you don't even notice. At the end of this video, you'll understand the real cost of creative ambition and how it can easily go too far. The higher you climb, the worse it gets. It's most obvious in live performance where the creative process happens in real time with nowhere to hide. Just look at Elvis, Amy Winehouse, or Michael Jackson. On the outside, we see the transformation, the plastic surgery, the addiction, and the stumbling on stage. But the damage on the inside is often far worse. And it's not just musicians. Any creative person who sells their ideas to an audience, whether it's designers, artists, filmmakers, chefs, writers, all of them have to contend with that same pressure. If you decide to fully commit to creative ambition, you will not be the same person you were when you started, and you might not like who will become. Take Michelangelo, for example. His paintings in the Sistine Chapel are some of the most iconic works in Western art, but most people don't know this. He didn't want to do these paintings. He had never even painted a fresco before. He was a sculptor. But the Pope practically forced him to take on the commission. So for 4 long years, Michelangelo painted while craning his body on the verge of ceiling, neck contorted, powders from the paint falling into his eyes. By the end of the project, some say he couldn't bend his neck to look down at his own feet. He wrote poems about the emotional and physical pain the work caused him. He hated the project. We celebrate the result as a masterpiece, but no one ever thinks about the cost. Michelangelo gave everything to a project that he hated, for patrons he didn't respect, to earn the adoration of people he would never meet. Now, I know that some people are probably thinking, this guy painted a ceiling, became immortalized forever, and you expect me to feel bad for him?